Thinking about launching ads in 2025 and you're not sure if you should run Meta or Google. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to differentiate between a Google product and Meta product, and as well as what are the weak sides and the strong sides of each platform, with the goal of explaining to you the right strategy for the circumstances you might be in. The key difference in the platforms is the type of user. When I say the type of user, I mean problem-aware and not problem-aware. Because with Google, you tend to go and search for solutions to problems. So if you don't know how to find something, buy something, fix something, you go on Google, search the solution for the problem, and there's going to be a lot of different ways. While on Meta, you're spending most of your time on Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, and you're not really thinking about your problems while you're on that platform. Meaning that anytime you want to sell something to a person on Meta, you will have to bring in some kind of disruption in their life. Because these people don't usually buy products with predetermination, we tend to call them impulse buyers. So if you can imagine the fidget spinner or stuff like that were fads way back when, in those situations, nobody actually needs a product like that. But then a really talented person writes a good script for a video, explains why you need something like that, and all of a sudden you have this urge or an impulse to buy the product. The main thing you need to understand is that your product or service is generally going to determine how you place your ads, because that's how your audiences move around online. But just because you might be selling something that is a good problem-solving tool, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have to advertise or you shouldn't advertise it on Meta if it's not an impulse buy product. There's still a lot of different things that we can advertise on both platforms, and usually the ideal scenario is going to be a hybrid model with Meta or Google leading the way and the other one plugging in the gaps and just making everything more profitable. The main downside to Google is that your cost of click is going to be much higher, and it's going to take you a long time to actually get some traction with Google. The good side with Google is that your click is going to be much more accurate and the quality per click is going to be higher. But that's the reason why usually everybody first tests Google, because of the buying intent behind each search. When it comes to advertising on Meta, the main thing you need to understand is you cannot advertise something that has a really short closing time frame. I'll give an example with company and corporation, and that's a specific need that people only once have. The main problem is the short time frame. This allows us from actually hitting the person at the right time. So even if we find the right person, the right type of people, we would need to find them at the exactly right moment when they need that service. And that's usually when they go to Google. So for those specific short time frames, like if you have an emergency plumber, it doesn't make sense to advertise it on Meta. Why? Because you don't know when somebody has an emergency, and just running ads in the middle of the night hoping that somebody's pipe is gonna burst is not that profitable. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't run remarketing. So for example, if you're running a Google campaign for business and corporations or emergency plumbers, you can also run remarketing to aid your marketing from Google, because those people are gonna find you and then leave and go, etc., etc. But as well as in this situation, you should keep in mind the short time frame. So if they didn't buy in like a couple of weeks from you or didn't sign up or something like that, in this specific scenario, remarketing to them longer than a short time frame doesn't make sense. Now, we touched on this before. The main difference is the user's mindset. With Google, they are focused because they're searching for a solution. There's nothing that needs to hold their focus. You need to say a couple of right words and the user is going to feel at ease and then jump to your call to action if you gave them the right offer for the need. While on Meta, even though you might be offering them a really good service or a really matching product to what they like, you still need to fight your way through all of the cool content, all of the messages of their friends, all of the other things taking away their attention from your advertisement. So that's why Meta is always going to be better for those visually appealing products, because you can then show the product in action. The right creative can be the thing that actually brings the attention to your product, develops the intrigue from the customer, and then often enough you're going to see people going on Google to see reviews, to research the product, or maybe to find a better price. Those are all of the things you also need to take into account, that often people that see a Meta ad are also going to do research on Google just because they don't want to get scammed. So before you make a decision, should you run Meta or Google ads, take into consideration how visually appealing your product or service is. Is there a story behind it? And if there is, can you tell it in a really intriguing way? When it comes to your budget, if you have a lower budget, I really suggest that you focus on running Meta ads, because you can do a lot with a smaller budget, with making a lot of really cool different different creators and just getting a design that can potentially get you a lot of organic reach as well if it's engaging enough. While on Google, that's next to impossible. Yes, you can do SEO, but that's a specific skill set that you have to invest time in, and when you invest that much time, it's like investing money. The main thing you need to take into a factor is what resources do you have at hand that you can then use to win, because the main thing people tend to forget is you're not alone in the market. So if you do not have a plan of how you're going to win, actually, not just be one of many, you're not going to survive. I'm going to give you a couple of different strategies that I suggest to people often. Again, these are top level, so you need to make these decisions yourself, but I'm trying to guide you through these specific factors that you can take into consideration. The first thing that I would look at is if you have a problem-solving product, I would then focus on launching it on Google. If you launch it on Google, I would always keep some reserve on running remarketing on Meta. When it comes to impulse buyers, the same goes, but in reverse. Basically, if you have something that's super interesting, viral, that people are going to get attracted to and potentially are going to like, click, share, comment, those things are going to be then better advertised on Meta. When advertising on Meta, you should always keep some budget for branded keywords. Why? Because if you start generating a lot of attention and driving a lot of traffic, your competitors can bid on your keyword if you do not have a budget allocated for that. So you have something that's called branded keyword coverage, and you should always try to have it above 80% or somewhere like that. Mainly because if you leave that gap open, your competition can hit people searching for your brand with their brand, which can be devastating. If you are a business owner that doesn't have a strategy in place and you don't know how to go about it, you can always go to digitalrocketads.com and check out what we do there. You can sign up for a holistic business analysis where we're going to help you identify exactly what are the bottlenecks keeping your business from growing, if your website needs to be changed, marketing strategy, product offering, nurturing sequences. So go to our website to sign up for your no bullshit audit, and as well as share this video with a friend if you know this is going to help them. I'm going to add some bonus content here because often enough when you say Meta, you cover WhatsApp, Instagram, and everything under the umbrella, while when you say Google, you usually don't mean YouTube, while they are under the same umbrella as well. The main thing I would suggest is anytime that you have a good performing video ad that's a bit longer, I would suggest that you figure out a way how to add audio cues or audible cues to the ad and use it as a YouTube ad. Now, this is my perspective on YouTube ads. They're more of an audio platform than a visual platform because you're usually trying to click the skip ad or do whatever else while the ad is running in the background, meaning that you need to hear the name of the brand or the name of the product so you can then have interest in it. So usually when we run YouTube ads for our clients, we measure the amount of people organically going out and searching for the product, not how many sales we got through YouTube. But usually, if you have a really good performing Meta video creative, you can then repurpose that for YouTube and just with a little bit of editing, make it a double whammy. So you should always keep in mind if your product is an impulse buy or not and develop your strategy around that. I hope that this video brought closer to you the logic behind the decision making as well as the buyer's behavior. If you have any questions or you have your own website that you would like us to review, check out your ads, maybe even record a video and post it live, drop it in the comments please below. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe and yeah, share it with friends. See you soon.